Tribulation, day 71. More correctly, it's actually Tribulation, end of the day 71. In about 30 minutes, it'll be Tribulation, day 72. It's about 11:30 p.m. out here in San Jose, California. The blazing weather continues across the United States, the heat wave, the intensity from the sun. Right now, it's kind of cool here in San Jose in the evenings. It drops down into like the 50s, which is kind of unusual. But, it's kind of like the calm before the storm. Right now, as far as the tribulation goes, it seems like we're in a period where we're going to get some waves, like when a hurricane comes in, you can see it coming. The waves gradually get bigger and bigger, and the water's rushing in and moving in, and, before you know it, all hell's breaking loose. That's what it feels like. Just kind of watching the news today, I already knew what was coming, which was nothing happened. And tomorrow, another round of the poker game will be played in Washington with our futures on the line. The downgrade of the American economy is pretty much guaranteed no matter what happens. The debt, the out-of-control spending is at a point it has to be stopped. But I don't know. I'm kind of feeling, tomorrow will be an interesting day. It'll be, the Asian markets dropped, it was on the news. I could pull it up real quick here, but, it was either 6% or 0.06%, but it seemed like if it made the news, it was enough to where it was like, hey, the market went down based on the fact that the United States did nothing. And so, we'll see what happens to our stock market, tomorrow. July 25th, could be another, like, Black Monday or the start of another Great Depression. Who knows? And, the actual date is August 2nd. So if something happens tomorrow, it's just, like I said, one of those little waves before the next bigger wave and the next bigger wave. And the world continues to spiral downward, out of control. Just horrific stuff happening. In Africa, it's like the famine of all famines, whether the news wants to cover it or not, we're talking just thousands of people dying over there. Millions. And, of course, the horrible massacre in Norway by this guy, Anders Breivik. And here's something. I'm half Norwegian. Surprise. My other half is Danish. And what this crazy psychopath did is just unspeakable evil. But, a couple of things. And I feel sorry. My heart goes out to the Norwegians and to the families of all the people that were affected by this tragedy. But, this is the kind of stuff, first it was associated with Timothy McVeigh, which it is. It's kind of a copycat. And the one thing we know about McVeigh, his horrific act, even though the things he kind of believed in were part of people that organized into a group, he actually really wasn't part of a bigger organized group. He was a part of like 3 people. And likewise, this guy Anders, the first thing, they compared him to Timothy McVeigh, and then they associated him with the terms used on the mainstream media are the far right extreme conservatives. And you know what? I think that's just unfortunate, man, because that's grouping a whole mess load of people into this. And what it was is associating right-wing, extremist, conservative with the word terrorist. So what that's doing is sweeping a whole half of the world, or a third of the world, or whoever, of people that aren't terrorists, but if you're conservative, or you're right-wing, or you're a Tea Party person, like, and then they start associating other words like Nazis, and, I'm telling you, it's not a good development. But that's what this guy, that's what they're associating with this guy, Anders. What I'm going to tell you is, even though maybe some of the stuff he writes about is stuff that groups like that might talk about, this guy is actually more like the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, who was putting bombs in the mail. And that guy was a psychopath and a killer too, but he wrote a huge manifesto about how crazy the world is, blaming everybody for whatever problems. And I talk about the tribulation, but I'm not into the blame game. But then Ted Kaczynski was then putting bombs in the mail as his solution. But this guy Anders, is kind of a copycat version of Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. But what's unfortunate is, as far as the tribulation goes, I can't, what I'm seeing is, there are dark cloud, sinister forces, like especially the Islamic jihadist, the radical left, which is like the mirror image of the extreme right. But guess what? That word terrorist is definitely associated with them, but they kind of have a movement, even though they say, the extreme radicals, the guys that blow up the Twin Towers, the guys that, strap dynamite to their chest and blow up innocent people, that's like so small, that's not part of what, Islam or being a Muslim is all about. And you know what? That's something we could debate. But in his manifesto, where Ted Kaczynski was talking about the left, this guy basically has transposed multiculturalism, and you know what? There's a grain of truth in what this guy is talking about, because what's frustrating him is he believes that the Islamic Muslim culture is taking over the world because he believes they don't conform to anybody else's lifestyles, whether it's nationality, religion, whatever, man, like in the long run, the Islams and Muslims want to play by their rules, their laws, and, whatever that all entails, And that's where, those dark forces are eventually going to clash one way or another with what they're calling the extreme right. I don't know. I think there are people on the right, but there's also just psychopaths, which is like Ted Kaczynski, and that's what this guy Anders is. But anyway, as far as the tribulation, it doesn't bode well. You know what? It's another step in the wrong direction, and then you add what's going on in the Middle East to all this, and, man, riots all across Europe, because, the economy, we're on the verge of a global meltdown, financially, on top of it all. But I'm going to end this on a bright note. You know what? I'm thinking positive. I got some stuff that I'm putting up on the blogs, on the website. I got kind of a political piece to this whole thing called American Revolution 2, and I'm going to get the confront stuff up there. I guarantee you that. But the other silver lining, like in the tribulation, and like I said, we have the ability, even in the midst of the most crazy, the world going crazy, we can find things that give us immense pleasure and entertainment and allow us just to forget how bad things are. So in that regard, news tonight is that the NFL is going to get, the players are going to sign the agreement, so there's going to be an NFL season, because I basically felt if there was no NFL, then we're definitely approaching a, quote, end of the world scenario. But now that there's going to be NFL, man, there's hope that whatever it is we're going through, it's just a transformation or a test. But, as long as there's football, no matter how bad things get, we can relax on Sunday and watch the greatest sport on earth, football. And go New England Patriots, go San Francisco 49ers, and my dark horse this year is the Detroit Lions. Yeah, figure that. Anyway, I'm going to think positive. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. Peace. Keep on rocking.